Hello everyone, welcome back to PN&L channel where we create content with practical IT solutions. If our videos are helpful to you, kindly subscribe to this channel, click on the thumbs up button and let us know in the comment section what you would like to see. In this video, we will continue our implementation of Openstack High Availability by installing and configuring Neutron, which is an OpenStack project that provides network connectivity as a service in OpenStack environment or in a virtual environment, but specifically in an OpenStack environment, which is uh, what we are working on. Now, Neutron allows the utilization of different network technologies such as Linux Bridge, Openvswitch, and so on and so forth. And it can be managed using services like Nova because you attach your virtual interface uh, to Neutron and also to the instances as well. OpenStack Neutron allows network topology configuration and the configuration of networks and subnets as well. So OpenStack services can also be created and configured like compute to attach virtual devices to ports on the network. It also supports multiple private networks and enables projects to choose their own IP addressing scheme, which eventually can be uh, used for different projects. But I will suggest that for clarity and brevity, it's best to have the IP addressing types or the subnets to have different IP addressing. So without much further ado, let's get into the configuration and installation and configuration of Neutron databases. Okay, so we have configured Glance, Nova API, and placement and Keystone as well. So here we're going to create the Neutron database and grant the Neutron user privileges on the database. So there we go. That is done. Next, we're going to create an OpenStack Neutron user, and that we're going to do only on the on the first controller node. So that is done. Next, we're now going to add the admin role to the Neutron user, and there will be no output for that because it's just a role addition. Okay, next we're going to create a Neutron service entity, and that is going to give us an output as well. Okay, that is done. Next, we're going to create the Neutron service API endpoints. Now, these endpoints allows communication between all the other OpenStack services, as we did in previous service configuration like Glance and Nova. We will create endpoints for the public, internal, and for admin as well. Okay, that is complete. The next step is for us to install the Neutron agents. We're going to install the Neutron agents on all controllers. Okay, installation complete. So next we're going to configure the net filter for all the nodes. This allows communication between the servers. We basically, like for example, keep alive to ensure that the to ensure that there is high availability. For example, if one node goes down, uh, it can be transferred to the other nodes. Next, we're going to configure the directories to add all the certificates we created earlier on, and that's done. Next, we're also going to comment out the SQLite section because we are using a backend database. Okay, next, what we're going to do is we're going to configure the connectivity for the database connectivity for the Neutron service in the neutron.conf file. So first thing, we add the configuration of the database connectivity with the username and password. Okay, that's correct. Correct. That's correct. All right. Next, we're going to configure the service plugins. Okay, good. Good. Next, we are going to ensure that overlapping IPs are true. Okay. Next, we configure the transport URL, which is the URL that is going to be used for messaging queue. Okay. 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 Next, we're going to configure the authentication strategy. Okay. Okay. So next, we're going to configure the notify on Nova port status change, or notify Nova on port status change. Okay. And also data status change as well. Okay, that's correct. That's correct. Okay. Next, we're going to configure the bind host. This bind host, we're using the virtual IP address. We can also use the virtual host name as well, but that's if you have configured the /etc/host to reflect that change. Okay, that is done. Next, we're going to add the keystone configuration in the Neutron. One 076. And then we are also going to configure the Nova credentials as well. Alrighty. So next we're going to configure the RPC response time. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, next we'll configure the L3 layer 3 high availability to be true. Okay. All right. So next we're going to configure the maximum and minimum layer 3 agents. Okay. Okay, so we're going to create the router distributed to be true. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to configure the lock path under the Oslo currency. Supposed to be here. Okay, 1405 seems to be correct. So I'm going to check that. That's correct. That's correct. Next, we're going to configure the modular layer 2 plugin. It uses Linux bridge mechanism to build layer 2 virtual networking for instances. So we're going to configure that. We have quite a number of things to configure there, and this is what the file looks like. So we're going to configure the type drivers. That's correct. That's correct. Next, we're going to create the tenant network types. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's all good. Next, we're going to add the mechanism drivers. Okay, that is good. That is also good. Next, we're configuring the extension drivers, which is going to be port security. And then we configure the flat networks. Now these flat networks here, it shows we're using the external designation. You can use any designation you want for this one. Some use physical network, some use something else. Okay, that looks good. That's good. Next, we're going to add the VNI ranges. Okay, that's good. That is good. That is good. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to configure the provider interface. So we're going to create a virtual interface and we're going to link it to the physical network interface. So my network interface is ETH1, and I'm going to add the ports or the bridge that we created previously to the new to the network interface. That is done. Next, we're going to configure the Openvswitch agent file. This is what it looks like. All the files seems to look the same, but they perform different function and they have different configuration in there. So next, we're going to, under the OVS section in the Openvswitch agent.ini file. So as you can see, the bridge mapping here, it says external, which was the designation we used. You can use physical network, PHY nets, or anything that you can remember to add to the other file, to the configuration of the bridge mappings here, as you can see. And we're going to use the local IP address for that, and we will ensure that we use the correct IP for each one of them. That is each one of the controllers. 292 and 303. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Okay. So next, we're going to configure the tunnel types and the L2 population. So 75191, that's correct. Check the other one. Okay, we're good there. So 591, we're good there. Next, we're going to configure the security groups. So we're going to add the firewall driver, and we're also going to enable the security group. We'll do that on each of the nodes. Okay, so there is something we are missing here. 175 tunnel types is correct. 91, that is correct. So we are going to make corrections here. 426. Actually, this is 421. Okay, that is correct. Okay, that looks correct. Okay, 427. Okay, that looks good. That looks good. All right. So next we're going to check -P to ensure that this right here is configured. You can configure this in your etc/sysctl.conf. So as you can see here, we have this here. Is configured and is supposed to be equals to 1. That means it is enabled. Next, we're going to configure the L3 agents. We only have a single line to configure here, so, and that's going to be the interface driver, which is going to be Openvswitch. Okay, that looks good. Next, we're going to be configuring the DHCP agent. Okay, so we are going to configure this here. One, that's correct. That's correct. And that is also correct. Correct. 45. 5. That's also correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct as well. Next, we will configure the metadata agent. This is what adds the metadata to each and every one of the configuration in Neutron. So we're going to configure the metadata host here. So as you can see, we're using the virtual host name here, and also we have also created a metadata proxy shared secret as well. So it's 23, it's correct, 36, and that's correct. So we do the same thing for here. correct. Okay, so we are done with the configuration file for Neutron. Next, we're going to configure Neutron in the nova.conf file so that Neutron can be oh, okay, that is done. Next, we're going to link the ml2 plugin.conf file to the plugin.conf on all controllers, and then we are going to finalize the installation by synchronizing the configuration with the database. Alright, everything looks okay, so we're going to restart the Neutron agents on all the controllers. Next, we're going to create the web connectivity. So with this, we will be able to manage the Neutron configuration via the web interface. This is called Horizon. We're going to configure the Horizon in the next video. So here we're going to change the IP address here. I'm going to do the same thing for this. Let's save the file, and that is done. Next, we're going to change the ownership of the Neutron folder or directory. If we don't do that, we will be getting permission error. Then we restart all the services, all the OpenStack services. All the services has been restarted. We restarted Apache and Memcache and all the other services. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run the OpenStack network agent list. This will allow us to test the agents to be sure that the agents are running correctly. Okay, as you can see, all the networking agents that the Neutron service is utilizing has been installed and configured. As you can see here, also the status is alive and the state is up. Now if you see XXXXXX, you can check the logs to determine where the errors are coming from. It could be from the RabbitMQ and so on and so forth. I hope this video is informative for you, and please click on the subscribe button, and looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.